The commencement of the fourth session of the 26th legislature is about to commence. We are now just waiting for the Sergeant-at-Arms to call the official party into the Assembly. The guests that are gathered here today are from all across the province, and it's always quite an exciting time for people that come to the legislature. The Sergeant-at-Arms is now asking the Assembly to rise. All the guests and the members will rise.
Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Canada, and her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. Proclamation. To our faithful, the members elected to serve in the Legislative Assembly of our province of Alberta, and to each and every one of you, greeting. Whereas it is our will and pleasure, by and with the advice and consent of our Executive Council of our province of Alberta, to prorogue the third session of the 22nd Legislature of Alberta, we do hereby prorogue, effective March 18, 1992, the said legislature, and whereas it is deemed expedient for certain causes and considerations to convene the Legislative Assembly of our province of Alberta for the fourth session of the 22nd Legislature, we do will that you and each of you and all others in this behalf interested on Thursday, the 19th day of March, AD 1992, at the hour of 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at our city of Edmonton, personally be and appear for the dispatch of business, to treat, act, do, and conclude upon those things which, in the legislature of our province of Alberta, by the common council of our said province, may, by the favor of God, be ordained. Herein fail not. In testimony whereof, we have caused these our letters to be made patent, and the great seal of our province of Alberta to be hereunto affixed. Witness, the Honorable Gordon Towers, Lieutenant Governor of our province of Alberta, in our city of Edmonton, in our province of Alberta, this 27th day of February, in the year of our Lord, 1992, and in the 41st year of our reign. By command, Ken Rostad, Provincial Secretary. Please be seated.
The reading of the proclamation ends the session of last spring, and it now commences the session this spring, which will be the fourth legislature of the 22nd Legislature of Alberta. The Sergeant-at-Arms has now left the Assembly, and he will be bringing in the Speaker. The Speaker of the Assembly, the Honorable Dr. David Carter, the member from Calgary-Egmont, has been serving this position very faithfully for many years. He's well respected, but of course, as all umpires or referees, sometimes you're in a no-win situation. But Dr. Carter is very respected by his colleagues, and we feel does a good job in the Assembly. The significance of our green carpet is a very historical one. The green carpet indicates a lower house or a legislature, whereas the Senate has a red carpet. Some of the traditions that we have inherited from the mother house in London, England, have carried over to our assemblies in the Western world. We model our parliaments after the mother house in London, and many of these traditions have been handed down. One of the traditions that you may note that there is one of the members' desks that's draped in black. One of the members, the Honorable Member Sheldon Schumer from Calgary, passed away recently, and so his seat is vacant and draped in black. There is another vacancy in the House. One of the members resigned, the Honorable Raymond Speaker, and his seat will not be taken for a few days because there's an 18-day waiting period from the time of an election until the new member is seated. And an interesting thing that happens when the new member comes to the Assembly, he must be presented to the bar, and the bar is a place that people, even members and private citizens, can be called to the bar. It is similar to a court. The member who took Mr. Speaker's place will be before the bar before he's seated. The Sergeant-at-Arms is now leading the Speaker of the Assembly into the Assembly. Speaker will be opening the session with a prayer.
Let us pray. The prayer we use is the one that has been used at the Mother of Parliaments at Westminster since the year 1659. We, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, do humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above to direct and guide us in all our considerations. Amen. Please be seated.
The Sergeant of Arms has now left the Assembly, and he will be accompanying the Premier and the Lieutenant Governor. Our new Lieutenant Governor is the Honourable Gordon Towers, a former Member of Parliament from the Red Deer area. He's a man of very high stature, very, very well thought of, and people are starting to really appreciate the talents of this man, and we're proud to have him as our new Lieutenant Governor. At present, they are draping the mace. What that means is that the mace is in place except when the Lieutenant Governor is in the House. When the Lieutenant Governor is there, there's no need for the mace because the mace represents the Queen or the Mother of Parliament in London. When the Lieutenant Governor leaves the House, then the mace will be placed in its place, and that will mean that the Assembly is in session. In all the years that I've been a member of the Assembly, we always speak through the Speaker. The Speaker has a very difficult job because many of the members who are very, very expert in the rules sometimes try and circumvent the rules a little bit, which is all part of the political system and part of the political game. But the present Speaker has a lot of experience, and he keeps control of the House very, very well. Now, sometimes the members think that that's maybe too well, but there has to be decorum, and the House in Alberta is probably one of the most orderly houses. And I think that is very good because the people want their business done in a business-like manner. And of course, the members do take liberties at times, and sometimes if you take too many liberties, the Speaker will call you to the bar, and you may even be suspended. We've had television in our Assembly in Alberta here since 1972. It was one of the first assemblies in North America to have the proceedings of the House televised. There was a very long, protracted debate on should we have television. I think it's very, very important that the people of Alberta see how their business is being done via television. So I think it really adds, I think it makes the members more responsible. It makes their attendance that much more noted, their absence or their being in their place. And most importantly, public business must be done in public. Therefore, the television brings it right to our living room so we know what our members are doing for us. The Assembly cannot transact any business at this time. When the Lieutenant Governor comes in and reads a speech, then the House brings a bill in which will be done later, and then the House is in its own control. But until that happens, the House is basically under the Lieutenant Governor. The Sergeant-at-Arms is now leading the official party here.
His Honor, the Lieutenant Governor is without.
Sergeant-at-Arms, admit His Honor, the Lieutenant Governor.
The fanfare was played by the trumpets The city of Edmonton, or the city of Calgary, gave this as the 75th anniversary to the legislature. The Lieutenant Governor will be accompanied by his aide-de-camps, members of the military, members of the police. This is always a very, very touching time because it takes us back to our roots as a member of the British Parliamentary Association and as a member of the British parliamentary system, which history has proved over the years is probably one of the best systems that we've ever had to exercise our democratic process. The Lieutenant Governor, when he is seated, then the Assembly will also be seated. But while he is standing, the members must stand and the guests must stand. The Premier is now taking his seat. The Premier accompanied the Lieutenant Governor. The Lieutenant Governor has now been presented with the speech from the throne, which will be
Mr.
outlining
Speaker,
the government's policy for
and
the
members
following
of the
year.
Legislative Assembly. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the fourth session of the 22nd Legislature of the Province of Alberta. On behalf of my government, I wish to encourage all Albertans to become more involved in the celebration of Canada's 125th birthday. I am sure many of us remember the joy of our centennial and the feelings of kinship of the 1988 Winter Olympics. I urge all Albertans to rekindle those feelings as we embark upon our next phase in our journey in nationhood together. My government, the people of Alberta, and all Canadians face enormous challenges in adapting to the new and ever-changing realities our nation and our world offer us. Governments cannot stop or control change, but together with the people, we can have a major influence on our future. These new realities will find us confronting issues more complex than we have ever faced. But difficult problems also provide us with an opportunity for renewal so we can make our world a better place. As we address the new fiscal, economic, environmental, social, and constitutional realities together, my government and Albertans know that the role of government and the role of citizens will continue to change. Cooperation, listening, and consultation is required more than ever. The instruments of democracy in Alberta and Canada are changing. My government and Albertans must ensure that our institutions and actions truly reflect our desires and values. My government stands for Albertans, Alberta, and Canada. My government will provide leadership, instill confidence, and be loyal to the people it serves. I now outline the directions my government will take. Something stimulating the Alberta economy in the economic and fiscal reality makes jobs for Albertans must be our first priority. My government has been listening to Albertans and must be candid and realistic about the economic conditions facing Albertans and Canadians. While our province is strong relative to the rest of Canada, Albertans have been hurt by the harsh Canadian recession. Albertans' economy is also being affected by reduced federal government support, increased federal taxation, growing demands on services, an inflated currency, and sharp drops in commodity prices. Confidence is low, and people are worried about their future. Many Albertans face economic hardship, and my government must provide help at a time when provincial budget revenues have been seriously eroded. Tough choices must be made between fiscal restraint, stimulating our economy to provide jobs, and caring for the less fortunate. We have built a quality of life in Alberta that is among the best, but also among the most costly in the world. And my government recognizes we must maintain that quality in education, health care, social services, environmental protection, and other such responsibilities. By listening to the people, my government knows Albertans recognize that the resources of my government are limited, and that they must have realistic expectations with respect to what a government can provide in a fiscally responsible manner. My government is determined to face difficult, long-standing pension problems.
They have to respond, the leader of the opposition and the leader of the Liberal Party,
necessary.
after the
Legislation will be
because they have not seen the
to
speech
amend the
before this
local
time, so they have to take notes,
public
try and
service,
analyze it and summarize it to
public
make
service
intelligent
management,
comment after the
universities,
strong speeches
academic, and
completed.
special forces pension plans. The legislation will follow the release of proposals last July and extensive public
That's the view
consultations
of
over the
the
past
Liberal
year.
leader, Mr. Corr.
Agreements with the public
He's
service
also summarizing the speech.
and local authorities' pension boards have already been reached. The legislation will establish full funding for future pension costs, retire existing unfunded liability of the plans, improve portability of benefits, and allow employers and employees a greater role in decisions regarding the plans. Members of this assembly will be asked to increase contributions to their pension plan by 33% in order to ensure continued fairness and equity. Alberta needs a strong economy to support our social programs and maintain our high quality of life. At the same time, my government realizes that it is our high quality of life that makes Alberta an attractive place to live and do business. While new initiatives are needed to help Albertans now, we must also build a vision for our future and chart a course towards continued prosperity. Working with business, labor, and community leaders throughout the province, my government has embarked upon a program entitled Towards 2000 Together to ensure our future economic strength. The cornerstone of the program, in listening to the people in order to create a partnership across all sectors to address our province's economic priorities. Towards 2000 Together will allow Albertans to decide their own economic future. My government also recognizes that cooperation between provinces and the federal government is important to our economic future. By dismantling interprovincial trade barriers and strengthening economic cooperation, my government will encourage the development of a more efficient economic union in Canada to create new business and employment opportunities for Albertans. My government will listen to and work with Alberta's processors and manufacturers, our farmers, our small business and entrepreneurs, and our investors and exporters in order to improve competitiveness. Through new market development initiatives for our agriculture and marketing sectors, new manufacturing assistance, looking for more opportunities to privatize government activities, and introducing entrepreneurial education programs, my government will continue to assist business in becoming more productive and diversified. Recognizing how vital energy is to the health of our provincial economy, my government will continue to listen to and work with our industry in expanding natural gas sales outside Alberta, and in conducting a review of our natural resources royalties. My government also recognizes the importance that advanced technology and research play in developing new industries and in helping existing industries be more efficient and competitive. Through the Alberta Heritage Foundation for Medical Research, the Alberta Research Council, the Family Life and Substance Abuse Foundation, Alberta Oil Sands Technology and Research Authority, Farming for the Future, and other agencies and initiatives, my government will continue to support the development of world-class science and technology. Much of Alberta's economic prosperity depends upon international trade. My government will work to ensure that Albertans are able to take full advantage of many trading arrangements, including the Free Trade Agreement, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, the Pacific Northwest Economic Region, and the North America Free Trade Agreement when it is successfully negotiated. My government will also pursue new trading relationships in Asia, the Middle East, South America, and Eastern Europe in order to assist business in pursuing new markets for our provinces, goods and services. Finally, my government will continue to enhance our international relationship through our foreign offices, trade missions, and our special relationships in Asia and Eastern Europe. At the same time, Albertans tell my government, and my government believes that business and individuals should not be subject to over-regulation, and that the private sector, not government, will determine our ultimate economic success. My government also hears and believes that Albertans are ready to address the new economic realities and that our business sector will continue to prosper. The Alberta countryside will be clean, vibrant, and productive. Alberta enterprise will continue to be strong and free. The environmental reality. The environmental realities facing the world require continued commitment from my government and Albertans in order to find a solution that will balance a strong, sustainable economy and a healthy environment. My government has conducted an extensive listening and consultation process over the past 2 years to develop new legislation. This legislation, written by Albertans, should be concluded in this session and will be amongst the most comprehensive and progressive in the world. My government remains committed to assisting individual Albertans to be protectors of our environment. Alberta's waste management, recycling, and education programs have helped our citizens become more aware of their role in protecting and enhancing the environment. And my government will continue to implement and strengthen these programs. Alberta is on the leading edge in developing new environmental technologies and products. My government will continue to encourage the development, use, and export of technologies and products to benefit Albertans and people around the world. My government recognizes that air, soil, and water do not respect provincial or national boundaries. My government will review the recommendations contained in the report of the Clean Air Strategy for Alberta Advisory Group and take action on implementation in this session. My government will continue, in cooperation with other governments, the private sector, and individual Albertans, to adopt a global approach in addressing the new environmental realities. The social reality. By listening to Albertans, my government knows our society is ever-changing. The choices facing parents, children, students, the disabled, and seniors become more complex every day. Addressing the social realities in Alberta require cooperation from my government and Albertans. My government remains steadfast in its commitment to both maintaining those elements in our society we cherish, while helping to influence social renewal. A key to Alberta's quality of life is our health. My government believes the future of the health system must, to the greatest possible extent, be built on the principles of accessibility and universality, principles that Albertans cherish. At the same time, my government must ensure that these principles are implemented more effectively and that increased taxation and expenditure is not the simple solution to health care delivery. My government has consulted with Albertans to define a contemporary role for all sectors in health. By developing a health research strategy, by implementing a technology assessment process, and by improving the health information system, my government will continue to streamline our healthcare system for the benefit of all Albertans, now and in the future. Educating Albertans remain of primary importance to my government. With a comprehensive agenda for change, as reflected in the Visions for the 90s document, my government will improve our education system through a greater emphasis on the achievement of results, so as to ensure that Alberta students are prepared for the challenges of the next century. By developing new career and science and technology programs, improving the level of service to students with special needs, developing new strategy for higher education, and renewing our commitment to the Alberta Heritage Scholarship Fund, my government will respond to the changing educational realities in this province. To respond to the social realities in Alberta, my government must continue to find innovative ways to balance increasing demands and limited resources. My government recognizes the contributions seniors have made and continue to make to our province. Through a provincial conference on seniors and other initiatives, my government will renew our commitment to provide for seniors a safe and productive lifestyle, while encouraging them to become fully participant in addressing today's challenges. The safety of Albertans remain a priority for my government. By implementing new traffic safety initiatives, workplace safety programs, and continuing an occupational health and safety heritage grant program, my government will encourage Albertans to live safer, healthier lives. My government is determined to respond to changing needs. New access to information legislation will be introduced to ensure my government's policy of full disclosure of information is protected in law. My government's new plain language policies will make government services and procedures more accessible and more understandable to Albertans. The strength of Alberta's society rests on its family-based foundation and in the diversity of our backgrounds. In addressing the new social realities, my government will continue to assist new immigrants to Alberta in adapting to and contributing to life in our beautiful province. My government will also continue to strengthen the family in Alberta by protecting children in and out of the home, implementing new initiatives to prevent family violence, enhancing the cultural and recreational opportunities, and responding to the special concerns of Alberta's Aboriginal peoples. Together, my government and the people of Alberta will face the new social realities, and in so doing, provide a better quality of life and greater opportunities to present and for future generations. The Constitution reality. Albertans and Canadians are facing the most fundamental review of our Constitution since our country was founded. During the third session of this legislature, the legislature proposed the establishment of a select Special Committee on Constitutional Reform to listen to Albertans and develop a proposal for Albertans in a new Canada. The committee has completed its work and has issued its report to this Assembly and Albertans for consideration. The public consultation process the committee embarked upon was the most extensive in our province's history. My government will not introduce a constitutional amendment to this Assembly without again counseling Albertans. My government will propose legislation this session that will provide a mechanism to fulfill this commitment. Throughout the upcoming session, upcoming months, crucial months in the future of our nation, my government will continue to promote the ideals Albertans have expressed to us: unity, equality, and respect in addressing the constitutional realities in Canada. In the course of the committee's hearings, many recommendations were made with respect to improving the functioning of this legislature and making it more responsive to the needs and values of Albertans. My government will propose that a select special committee of the legislature be established to review how these measures and other reforms might be adopted within the context of our parliamentary system and traditions. My government remains committed through this Assembly to assisting Albertans to prosper amidst the new realities and actions I have outlined today. In addition, during this session, my government will conclude the Environmental Protection and Enhancement Act, implement new economic development initiatives to provide opportunities across many economic sectors, implement recommendations from the report of the task force on the criminal justice system, implement a new natural resources management policy, amend the Elections Act, introduce a new Municipal Government Act that will serve as a model for the 21st century, implement recommendations from the Family and Community Support Services Program, implement plain language policies, proclaim the Landlord and Tenant Act, amend the School Act, introduce legislation to promote greater energy efficiency, amend the Highway Traffic and Motor Transport Acts to enhance traffic safety, and introduce other legislation, programs, and fiscal measures for consideration and deliberation in this Assembly. My government is continually seeking to strengthen its working relationship with Albertans. It is essential in order to deal with the realities outlined today. These are not easy times for people or governments. The complex nature of problems brought on by rapid change challenge and test us daily. Many events are beyond our ability to control, and only by a dedication to listening to each other and working together can we build a partnership that can successfully influence our future. We must be creative together as we move toward the 21st century. Recognizing these challenges, these challenging times and difficult choices, is a major stride toward addressing them. My government believes that if Albertans are made fully aware of the nature of the challenges before them, they have the capacity and strength to deal with them in effective and creative ways as they continue to reach for the magnificent potential Alberta and Canada promise. In due course, you will be presented with budget estimates. You will be asked to authorize the necessary funds for operating services and expenditures, and to endorse a program of capital financing for the government of Alberta. You represent a beautiful province of strength, hope, and promise. And now, I leave you to the business of this session, confident that as elected representatives, you will in every way fulfill your responsibility to Albertans. Mr. Speaker, and members of the Legislative Assembly, I pray that the blessing of God may rest upon your deliberations. God bless Alberta. God bless Canada. God save the Queen.
All right, please.
The Sergeant at Arms is once again leading the Assembly. Leaving the Assembly is leading the Lieutenant Governor and the Premier and their aides out of the chamber. As the procession leaves, the Assembly will now be in control of the Speaker until the Premier comes and lays the first bill on the table. It's a tradition of our parliamentary system that the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition sit across directly from each other. And they have to be, as an old tradition, 2 sword lengths apart. These are some of the traditions that have been handed down to us. The mace is now being uncovered, because it was covered because the Lieutenant Governor represents the Queen. Therefore, there was no need for the mace to be on display. In listening to the speech from the throne, there was some mention made about some legislative reform, and of course the very popular MLA from Calgary-Egmont, the Speaker of the Assembly, Dr. David Carter, it has been suggested that the Speaker of the Assembly be elected, and traditionally the government selects the Speaker and in conjunction with the opposition people declare him Speaker, but there's some move possibly to an elected Speaker, and I would hazard a guess that the Honorable Dr. David Carter would win that election from his peers in the Assembly. Getting back to the tradition of the 2 sword lengths, I guess we've seen what has happened in some of the assemblies in the maritime provinces, where sometimes 2 sword lengths aren't quite enough to separate the antagonists. But our parliamentary system is basically a debating house, and this is why people have difficulty understanding why a government makes a proposal and the opposition seem to oppose it without providing constructive reasons why they should be doing it. But traditionally, ours is an adversarial system. The Premier will be coming into the Assembly, and the House still is not its own in control of itself. It has to wait until the Premier brings a bill into the Assembly, and by tradition it cannot be a money bill, it must be a private bill, which, if it is a money bill, the Lieutenant Governor would have to give it an approval, whereas the Premier brings in a bill which he will be setting the House into motion, and it will be in control of its own destiny. The Sergeant of Arms is now coming back into the Assembly, and the Premier is now taking his place in the Assembly, and the House will now start into formal motion.
Mr. Premier. Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce
Bill number 1, the Constitutional Referendum Act. This being a money bill, His Honor, the Honorable the Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to this Assembly. Mr. Speaker, this bill fulfills my commitment, my government's commitment, contained again in the speech from the throne today, that there will be no Alberta agreement on constitutional change without the people, whose constitution it is, being asked for their assessment. Before any resolution to amend the Constitution of Canada can be passed by this Assembly, a referendum must be held. And it will be binding upon this government to implement the results of that referendum.
The Honorable the Premier has moved first reading of Bill number 1, the Constitutional Referendum Act. All those members in favor of the motion for first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
A bill, being Bill number 1, Constitutional Referendum Act, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Getty, is now read a first time.
Honorable members, I have the honor to table a copy of the speech graciously given by His Honor the Lieutenant Governor. Mr. Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the speech of His Honor, the Honorable the Lieutenant Governor, to this Assembly be taken into consideration tomorrow.
Having heard the motion by the Premier, all members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered. Minister of Economic Development and Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the votes and proceedings of this Assembly be printed after first having been perused by Mr. Speaker, and that he do appoint the printing thereof, and that no person but such as he shall appoint do presume to present or to print the same.
Having heard the motion by the Honourable Minister, those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, I move that select standing committees for the present session of the Legislative Assembly be appointed for the following purposes, of which there are 7. 1, privileges and elections, standing orders and printing. 2, public accounts. 3, private bills. 4, laws and regulations. 5, public affairs. 6, the Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund Act. And 7, legislative offices.
Having heard the motion by the Honourable Minister of Labour, all members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried. The Honourable Solicitor General.
Mr. Speaker, I move that a special committee be appointed, consisting of 7 members hereinafter named. The said committee to prepare and report, with all convenient speed, lists of members to act on the select standing committees ordered by this Assembly. Mr. Day, Chairman. Mr. Evans, Ms. Callahassan, Dr. Elliott, Mr. Adey, Mr. Fox, and Mrs. Hughes.
Having heard the motion by the Solicitor General, those members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered. Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Assembly do now adjourn until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Having heard the motion, those members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Motion carried.